To me, anything that you write down is a first commitment that you've transformed something that was a thought, which you don't own. Because as humans, we never know what our conscience is. We never know what's in our dreams, why they are. So it's there for a reason. Listen to it. If you never do anything with it, that's perfectly fine.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the podcast Learniverse, a program designed to educate people on different topics and issues and have diverse range of content for listeners. I'm your host Rohan Ahmed, joining you from the studios of MTA International. And today I'm really honored and grateful because I reached out to someone I believe we can all truly align with. By profession, he is a doctor of pharmacy, he is a motivational speaker, he is a writer, and also a fitness fanatic. And he is Dr. Ismail Baji. Welcome to the show and thank you for joining us today.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So, before we, move on with the discussion, it is, a known fact that everyone wants to be successful in life. So, to you, how do you define success?
Oh, thank you. I think anytime I hear success, my frame of mind is never a destination, but a journey. And over the years, I think society growing up has defined what success looks like as if it's a destination. But I think the older I've gotten and just more life experiences, I've realized that it's not an external compass. I see it more as alignment and purpose and what you're good at and knowing that you build on it. So I see success as not something I describe, nor do I chase it. I think alignment of purpose, realizing that everybody's good at something and just doing something that you feel like it just feels right with your core, because then you also calibrate yourself from society from not dictating your level of happiness, your level of fulfillment. So I don't define success. I just know what people perceive as success should be a continuation and not a destination as well. Exactly.
Yeah, thank you for that. Success is like a state of meeting a defined range of expectations. Yes. So it is like a continuous journey.
Absolutely.
So moving on, according to you, what is that major element needed to lead with a vision and be successful?
I think one of the gifts in life is when you get to a point where you have a sense of purpose, a sense of direction. And I think oftentimes when we're a little bit younger, everybody's searching for something. And sometimes you may not be able to define it, but you feel like your spirit doesn't align with something. So it's how do you find that? And I don't even like using professions because also it puts you in a box. Yes. I think exploration is part of the human journey. You explore until you find something that doing it allows you to not focus on wealth, not focus on time. You're just doing it, but because it feels right. That's to me is always like the goal. How do you find a sense of purpose in whatever it is that you do? And make it where even if there's not something coming back to you, you would still wake up and do it. And that's why most people, they'll tell you, once you find your passion in something, work feels like a hobby or work feels like worship because there's like a spiritual aspect to like, this feels good that I'm doing it. So that's really the perspective most of the times, but finding purpose is just so important.
Exactly. So, and you're someone who had interaction with people of all ages. So from your experience, what do you think that what is that giant hurdle or a barrier which results to a state where people cease to imagine and they cease to be innovative? So what do you think, what is that giant barrier, like looking at the society we are in the Gambia?
I think limiting beliefs. I think one of the biggest things that holds our society back is oftentimes we're born into a society that has set a framework on what's possible. And instead of having an abundance mindset, an unlimited mindset, limiting beliefs, negative thoughts creep in. Sometimes even the society may tell you, you're a girl, you can't do this. You're a first son, you have to do this. And I think our mind is such a malleable, aspect where the moment something else external gets a hold of it, you are what you believe. As a man thinks he is. Even so many times we keep hearing that once you believe that you could do anything, because there's an alignment that is actually not you in control, but God is telling you that you could do it. So the biggest thing is mindset. And that's why I'm very passionate about young people, because at an early age, if you keep telling a young person you could be whatever you want to be, whatever used to be the framework or the norms are made to be broken. Yeah. Traditions are like peer pressure from people that are dead because they're not even existing anymore. So it's just limiting beliefs and unlocking that limiting beliefs to one of abundance, one of limited possibility, because that's where the world is too. Yeah. And I think if you notice societies that really transform, it's really their imagination put to work. And then God blesses them, and then you start realizing, because the human being, I think that's our greatest gift, is our ability to think about something, manifest it, create it, and then it doesn't even feel like something that was just an imagination anymore. Yeah.
Right. You just hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Like when we surrender to thoughts like this is impossible, oh, I cannot do it, I'm not worthy of doing it. I think that is the very moment when the person starts to, develop regressive behavior. Yeah. So, moving from there, if someone isn't imaginative, he's not creative. So, is there any way that he can learn, grind, and develop his or her mind to live up in this competitive world?
I think everybody is creative. I think God whispers something to us all, but what he whispers in your ear and what he whispers in my ear is totally different. And to me, I see it as he's giving you permission that is possible. Most of the times we convince ourselves that it's not possible. So the first thing I really implore people to do is, if something comes to your mind, write it down. No matter how random, no matter how unrealistic, write it down. Because to me, anything that you write down is a first commitment that you've transformed something that was a thought, which you don't own. Because as humans, we never know what our conscience is. We never know what's in our dreams, why they are. So it's there for a reason. Listen to it. If you never do anything with it, that's perfectly fine. But the moment you write something, you commit to it. And even in terms of habit, if you wake up every day, people who say, okay, wake up and you have a journal saying, I'm going to pray 5 times a day, or I'm going to read 10 pages of a storybook. It's a commitment. Yeah. So the first thing is listen to your imagination, because imagination is a preview of life's coming attractions. So anything that's there, you listen to it and you start realizing that a lot of things around the world will align. And for you, it makes sense because you're seeing it. So even if you're into media, you start noticing things about media just gravitate towards you. So it feels like the universe is aligning for what is yours. So first thing is commit to it. Don't ever think, oh, that's a silly thought. Even if it's a bad thought, write it down. And sometimes you question why. Why do I keep thinking about starting a business? What is it about a business? And you follow your curiosities, you learn a little bit more, and then you start realizing that some things come easy to me. Understanding videography comes easy to me. Science comes easy to me. But you see somebody else is struggling. That's when you start transitioning to realizing that, hey, maybe I am just gifted in this. So it's just trusting the process. But the first thing is paying attention. What's in our mind? What comes natural? Everybody has something where you don't have to think to do it. It just comes very natural to you. That could be a gift. Exactly. Yeah, it could be a gift.
That's a very nice point. Thank you. And when choosing a career, people often choose title jobs over passion. And that is due to a number of reasons, like job security, financial stability, and social status, and more. So what is your take on this? Like, coming back to the question, Like, what should one strive for when choosing a career?
Don't try to be an expert in anything until you're 50 or 60 years old. The biggest fallacy, and sometimes it goes back to what society tells us. If you tell an 18 years old to choose a major in university, how realistic is it for an 18-year-old to know what they want to be? You have to see life through phases, and you follow what you're curious about, but don't try to be an expert or narrow yourself into one field or career, because it's going to lead to a lot of unhappiness. Because oftentimes all the things, metrics of success that are attached to a career, financial stability, money, social status, there are more people that are miserable and happy, even though they have all those things. So life keeps showing us that it's not even about all those things, because even the wealthiest man without purpose is a miserable man. But also, range is very important in terms of allowing the evolution to happen, where I started as a chemistry major, in college. But that didn't mean that when I was in high school, I wasn't into sports. I wasn't into theater. I wasn't into debate, quiz. So just range, and whatever interests me, wherever I feel like humanity is going to better from me doing something, I lean in. And having the courage to do that. So I think, don't ever think we've arrived, even in a career standpoint. You have to evolve, especially in your 20s, in your 30s, even in your 40s, right? You have to keep seeing what's the next evolution as well.
But the point is, like, whatever capacity you are serving in, you should serve with every fiber of your being.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you'll get to a point where something will just click. And it's not even an internal metric. It's an external metric. Once you start people finding value in what you offer, you're contributing to your society, you're contributing to your environment. I could go and be a carpenter, but if every single time I build this piece, somebody's happy, I could forget about being a pharmacist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's linked to the human experience. Careers should be linked to better the human experience, not to better yourself.
Yeah, yes, like business is also like being able to use your skill set and provide value to the market.
Absolutely.
So like you made mention of being a carpenter, you can be a gardener, painter, but as far as you are good in what you do, then obviously you will find successes following you.
Absolutely. And that's why in business, even they tell you pain point. What pain point are you solving? As in, if you see the lens through human suffering or human discomfort, right? The moment you start providing it, you don't have to sell your business. You're selling a solution, right? So it's just, if you look at it from the perspective and psychology of who is benefit from it, even you create better businesses. So even if I'm a young Gambian, all you have to do is to stand outside Westfield Clinic or Westfield Junction and just look around, and you'll see a lot of discomfort, things that are not working. All those are business ideas.
Exactly. Yes. And just you made mention of dreaming of starting a business. So what if a person wakes up with the dreams of such, but he's not having funds to start a business? So it's like the possibility that he can establish a business from no funds or little funds with him.
My advice is always don't start. Always assume that you don't know what you don't know. And oftentimes, if you are interested in starting a business, there's a reason why. If it's for money, don't start, because the money's not going to come overnight. But it could be because you're curious. There's steps to it, right? You have to renovate your inside before you could innovate on the outside. Apprenticeship comes before entrepreneurship. Go and do something for free where you know they're not going to pay you. But going back to what you said, you're going to show up to work every single day. You're going to find somebody who's been doing it for decades and tell him, don't pay me in knowledge. I want to do that for at least 5 to 6 years. Then you're learning about all the aspects of the business. So your journey to becoming a business owner begins when you are doing something for free with a good attitude and an appetite for curiosity. Then you get to the point where you realize that there's so many aspects to running a business, more than just, I want to sell a bottle of water. right? That's what I always advise, because if you do it too soon, business also has a way of breaking somebody. And if you are not baked enough, the light is going to be too bright. And that's a good way of defining it. The sunscreen that you have on is the experience. So it limits the exposure. But if you come out too early, then it's harder, because if it breaks you or it's unsuccessful, you never fell in love with it in the first place, or the money doesn't come, you'll stop doing it. So that's so important. Find something, go do it for free. Even if they tell you no, do it for free or for a little amount of money, until you get to a point where you understand all the aspects of business before you jump into it. But in the darkest of moments, which any entrepreneur, you're going to go through a very dark cave where either a vice will take you over, alcohol, drugs, to cope, or you'll seek light and it'll tell you keep going.